At 7:02 p.m. Welcome, everyone. I'm President Lauren Christensen. We're happy to see you all here this evening. Start over with Member Sidhu.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anupam Chugsadhu. Thanks for being here.
Hi, I'm Judy Westra. Thank you for coming out tonight to join us.
Good evening, I'm Patrick Keogh. It's great to see so many young people in the audience tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, Patty McCoy. Thank you for coming out on this beautiful night.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Picard, and it's nice to see all of you here tonight.
Josh Patterson, SVA co-chair, and Plymouth Junior.
Hi everyone, I'm Saeed Pawar. I'm a senior at Canton and a Student Voice in Action co-chair.
Great, thank you. Dr. Merritt, can you introduce yourself and your team?
Good evening, Superintendent Monica Merritt. Welcome to everyone that is here this evening. I'd like to begin by introducing my assistant, Ms. Diane Robertson. I want to thank her for being here to take our minutes for us and keep us all focused in doing what we need to do. And I'd like to ask the remaining members of the team to introduce themselves to you, beginning with Mr. Tiskowitz.
Thank you, Dr. Merritt. Good evening, Kurt Tiskowitz, Assistant Superintendent for Student Services. Welcome.
Good evening, Jill Minnick, Chief Finance and Operations Officer. Thank you for being here this evening.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Beth Rail, Chief Academic and Innovation Officer. Nice to see you out tonight.
Welcome, everyone. Liz Vartanian Gibbs, Assistant Superintendent, Student and Family Engagement.
All right, let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Josh, can you lead us in that, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, on to adoption of agenda and approval of the consent agenda. This is action item number 25-09-08. Can I please have a motion?
Madam President, I move that we adopt the agenda, approve the consent agenda, action item number 25-09-08.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, it was moved by Member Sidhu and seconded by Member Picard. Dr. Merritt, can you please take us through the agenda?
Thank you, President Christensen. This evening, our consent agenda consists of human resources transactions. Since our last time together, we have new hires, resignations, and tenure recommendations for your consideration. We have the special meeting minutes from August the 26th, 2024, the special meeting minutes from August 27th, 2024, and the regular meeting minutes from August 27th, 2024. In addition, we have first reading of policy 6350, which is the prevailing wage.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to call for a vote. Those in favor, please say yes.
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 Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. All right, Mr. Tiskowitz, can you take us through HR?
Thank you very much. I'm filling in tonight. So we are pleased to welcome to the Plymouth Canton family the following new staff members. And if you hear your name, please stand and be recognized. First, we have Joshua Beachel, who will be joining the staff at West Middle School as a counselor. Next, we have Kayla Butsky, who will be joining the staff at Bentley Elementary as the cognitively impaired classroom teacher. We have Elizabeth Calamino, who will be joining the staff at Erickson as a classroom teacher. We have Alyssa Cole, who will be joining the staff at East Middle School as a social studies teacher. We have Sheila Harkaway, a speech pathologist at Allen early on. We have Brenna Kolinsky, who will be joining the Hoban staff as a part-time classroom teacher. We have Christine Munro, who is going to be joining the staff at Discovery Middle School as a speech pathologist. We have Cassandra Otimo-Uwe. Oh, I was close, wasn't I? Otemo-Uwe. Cassandra will be the ELL teacher at Salem High School. Welcome. Also joining the staff at Canton High School, or Plymouth High School, we have Rachel Royal, who will be teaching the CTE courses out there at the park. Thank you and welcome. Ashley Marie Rudhodge will be teaching math at Salem. Welcome. And we have Christy Wisniewski, who will be joining the staff at Workman Elementary as an art teacher. I'd also like to welcome and congratulate Justin Green. Justin is being recommended for the Elementary Student Success Specialist at Erickson Elementary School. Welcome. And finally, we have Rosalind Mitchell, who will be the Student Success Specialist at Field Elementary. And we welcome all of our new champions to the Plymouth Canton family. Welcome. And when I'm all done, we'll meet you out in the hallway. I have a special treat for you, okay? Next, want to continue with the tenure recommendations? Okay, we have one tenure recommendation tonight before you. Melissa Jones, classroom teacher at Farron Elementary, is being recommended for tenure by Principal Carolyn Washington. She joined the staff here in Plymouth Canton in 2019, and Carolyn had the following to say about Melissa. Melissa Jones is a gifted and passionate educator, is first and foremost an advocate for children. She understands the importance of developing genuine relationships with students and parents. Parents and students appreciate her warmth and kindness. Melissa's patient and calm demeanor encourage our students to engage in reflection and self-correction. The Farron community congratulates Melissa on her 10-year accomplishment. So congratulations to Melissa. That is all I have.
Thank you, Kurt. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, on to celebrating success with Member Westra.
Good evening. This evening, the Board of Education continues its tradition of celebrating our school community by recognizing and honoring outstanding staff, students, and volunteers. We are thrilled to present the VIP Award to Antoinette Jackson, a dedicated and generous former president of the Parent Council. Antoinette Jackson, whose 3 children have been educated in our district since kindergarten, has been an integral member of the Parent Council for nearly 6 years. Her unwavering dedication and kindness have significantly contributed to improving our school district. Under her leadership, the Parent Council experienced increased engagement and fostered a deeper understanding among parents about the group's purpose and opportunities for involvement. Antoinette devoted considerable time to this role, organizing meetings with administrators and vendors to provide parents with valuable insights into the district's operations. Although she is no longer serves as president, her efforts have positioned the Parent Council to continue positively impacting and fostering greater parental involvement in school activities. At this time, I would like to invite the current Parent Council President, Shay Bailey, and the principal of Liberty Middle School, James Hunter, to say a few words about Antoinette.
Hello everyone, my name is Shay Bailey, and I have to say that I am very honored to follow in the footsteps created by Antoinette. She is the epitome of a dedicated parent, and one thing I appreciate about her and want to continue, she's not just a dedicated parent for her students, but she advocates for all students. So that is something that I've always admired about her. She has a phrase that I love to listen to in my head during times when I need a little motivation: come get this work. So I am happy to follow in her footsteps by continuing to enhance our community here in Plymouth Canton Schools. Congratulations, well deserved.
So I'm going to be brief. Good evening, everyone. Mrs. Jackson, we celebrated you at Liberty just a few short months ago, but I want you to know how much we miss you already. We appreciate all of the work that you've done for our African American Parent Network and our PTSO. You are greatly missed, and I want you to know you will always be one of our MVPs, most valuable parents. So thank you so much, and congratulations to you.
On behalf of the Board of Education, I present Antoinette Jackson with the Volunteer in Public Schools VIP Award for supporting Plymouth Canton Community Schools and Parent Council. Now I would like to invite Antoinette to say a few words.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is overwhelming. I'm so grateful. Again, when you serve, you don't think you're going to be recognized. So this is so amazing, and I didn't know Principal Hunter and Shay were going to say something about me. That's very kind words. I don't know, I guess all I really want to say is that, I'm so excited to have the opportunity to serve. Service is my heart, and I love the school district. And I got into it because I love my kids, and I love the schools that they were in. But when you do that, you learn that you love the other kids and the other parents and staff and students and parents and teachers, you just start to love everybody. And so it makes you want to get in deeper and deeper. So you start at the school level, you go elementary, middle, high school, and then it's like parent council. Why not? You know, so to have given over 12 years to this district that I love, I'm just so thankful to, again, give me my flowers while I'm alive. So I am so, again, thankful for this opportunity and for this award. This means everything. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Congratulations.
All right. Okay, on to board committee reports and action. First up, we're going to start with the president's report. I would like to extend a warm welcome back to all of our students and families at P-CCS. You know, last meeting we got to talk about welcoming back the staff, but now everybody's back. I'm hoping that the first week of school went really well, full of excitement and anticipation and feeling energized for the school year that's to come. Now we're into our first full week of school. I know many of you are feeling tired like my family is, so I'm hoping you get some rest and recovery on the weekend so we can get back into the swing of things. So way to go to the teachers and staff for all the hard work making these first couple weeks a successful start to the year. We do have a couple board updates. Several members of the board are registered for MESB events and some continuing education courses this fall. So I just want to say kudos to my colleagues for the continuing professional development. We certainly encourage that for each of our individual board members. I know that there's been some interest for the collective group to get together and do a course as a team. So if you have any ideas or suggestions as to what that may be, please send them my way and CC Patty on that, and we can work to get the team together. Additionally, as we learned last meeting, we do have a school board vacancy that needs to be filled. Member Wilson's resignation is effective as of yesterday, September 9th, and we have up to 30 days in order to fill his position. So I wanted to share some updates on what that process looks like. We are planning to make an announcement or a posting requesting applications for candidates to be considered for the position starting tomorrow on I almost said November, my goodness. I do not want to fast forward time. September 11th, and keeping that open for about 2 weeks, closing on September 25th at 4:30 is what we're thinking here. And then as a board, I'd like to discuss too, we need to set up a special meeting to actually conduct those interviews and make our selection prior to that 30-day window closing. So I would like us all to look at our calendars for the week of September 30th to see if we have any availability. That week is actually a non-board member or board meeting week. So this would be a special meeting. Maybe it would be on that Tuesday. So I don't know if you guys have a moment to take a look at that to see if you'd be available.
I'm available on the Tuesday, but then leaving either Tuesday night or Wednesday morning for travel. So
Okay. So Tuesday night.
Tuesday night can work for me.
Oh, okay. Tuesday night could work.
I'm driving. So.
Okay. Okay.
What specific date?
So this is Tuesday, October 1st.
Okay.
Likely in the evening, 7 o'clock if that makes sense. Or we could push it up earlier.
Earlier would be better.
Okay. We could do as early as 5:30.
Yes. That
Yes,
would work
yes,
for me.
yes. Okay. All right. So we'll do that on October 1st at 5:30.
5:30?
Okay.
Could we
as
make
long-
it 6?
6 would be
6
fine.
would be better.
Sure.
Okay.
6 p.m. Thank you all for looking at your calendars for that.
We'll get Ms. Robertson to get that communication out to the community first thing in the morning.
Great, thank you. And then lastly, you know, we do have some draft interview questions that we've used during past, during past appointments. But if you do have any burning interview questions that you want to be considered, can you please email Patty and myself in the next week or two? We'll be compiling that list for our special meeting on October 1st. And that concludes my president's report. Thank you, everybody. On to student performance and achievement with Anupam.
Thank you. We have our Student Performance and Achievement Committee meeting next Wednesday at 5 p.m. in this room. I'd love for many of you to join us.
Thank you. Policy Committee with Member McCoy.
So we have not met since the last meeting. Our next meeting is Tuesday, September 24th, 2 weeks from tonight. We meet in the collaboration space, which is down the end of this hallway at 5:30 p.m. Everyone is welcome to join us.
Thank you. Finance and Operations, Mr. Kehoe.
So Finance and Operations met last Thursday, and we reviewed a number of the presentations that are on the agenda this evening, including the security upgrades that we're doing and the vehicles that we're purchasing, as well as the new signs for East and West Middle School, as well as we had a robust discussion on some of the air conditioning update challenges that we've had in the district, notably at the P-CCS campus, but I understand we're having some struggles at some other facilities right now. And it has been a challenging process with respect to air conditioning. Our next meeting is on Thursday, September 19th at 5 p.m. here in this room, and we welcome people to come.
Great, thank you. All right, on to Student Voice in Action with Josh and Saeed.
First, we just want to welcome everyone back from summer break. Our first Student Voice in Action meeting will be Monday, September 16th at 4:30 in room 201 in Canton High School, which is also the presentation room.
As usual, everyone is welcome, and we strongly encourage any 6th through 12th grade students interested in participating in school board activities to come and check out what we do.
Thank you very much. Okay, on to administrative reports and recommendations. Dr. Merritt.
Thank you, President Christensen, and I echo your sentiments about the first week of school. It was absolutely amazing in terms of the energy and excitement of our young people as they returned here to our amazing classrooms at P-CCS. Just had an opportunity to visit several of the schools and engage in conversations with students about their teachers and their staff members and the incredible connections that they were making, and the excitement is definitely something that was palpable. I want to thank our teachers, our support staff that work so hard to prepare our classrooms and our buildings for the arrival of our young people. I do believe that it is going to be an incredible school year, and we're looking for more excitement and more opportunities to share with you today. This school year. So please, if you haven't had a chance to, if you're interested in visiting our buildings, I know at the opening day, President Christensen talked with our teachers on behalf of the board and said if there's something exciting going on in the classroom, to please let us know so that board members can have an opportunity to visit for yourselves as well. Our doors are always open, and I think our students are eager to engage. You hear a lot of feedback and questions, and their voice is something that is definitely appreciated. I'm excited and want to again invite the community to our back to school bash that is rescheduled. It's fall into fall with P-CCS. This is going to take place on September the 26th from 4:30 to 7 o'clock p.m. Again, it's at the PCEP bus loop. Something that I think has been very exciting and successful about our back to school bash is it gives families an opportunity at PCCS to be able to have tours of the buildings, see the exciting opportunities that we offer for students, and really visit that high school setting, which can be overwhelming for parents. Our students always really adopt to that relatively quickly, but really in this relaxed setting. We're going to do Coffee for Monica, was from Monica. The first one was going to be on September the 26th. So since we had that date held, we're actually going to have cider that night, and we'll set up a cider with Monica table as well. So staff will be there. We'll still have, I believe, the petting zoo and all of the things that we were looking forward to at the back to school bash. So again, I invite the community to join us. We can't wait to see you there. Excited to share in the morning at 6:30 a.m. we will have Channel 4 reporter Nick Monticelli visiting PCEP. He's doing a cover story on the innovative security initiatives that we've implemented throughout the district. So we really are incredibly proud of our safety and security program. Director Meyer has been here to give an update to the board and the community about all of the investments and the strategic planning that we've had, really to ensure that our schools are safe for learning and growth. So this story is going to air. This will not be a live story, but they'll be there, and we'll look out and inform our community when the story airs. It's something, as we look to our dynamic plan and being a leader, this is a space that I really believe that we are excelling in, and just appreciative of our staff for their vision and seeing this through for the safety of our students and our staff. Finally, I wanted to share that spaces are still available to give our young learners a head start on their learning journey this fall as a part of our Community Education Department's 2-year-old Stay and Play program. And this program offers a wonderful opportunity for children to interact with one another in a relaxed classroom setting once a week from September through May. Classes begin the week of September the 16th with both morning and afternoon sessions available. And for more information about the 2-year-old Stay and Play program, we encourage you to visit the community education page of PCCSK12.com. That was officially it for my report, but I do want to take the opportunity to address what I believe is a series of potential misunderstandings. My email for the last couple of days, I've received quite a few from some parents concerning what they believe to be a board or a district level decision to eliminate our extra activities at the elementary level. That means our 5th grade graduation, our field trips, our field days, our music programs. So I want to make it clear that the district has not made a decision to eliminate any activities, nor are we considering eliminating those activities. We really value our visual and performing arts, our physical education, our other electives, and our specials. We actually have made a commitment to increase those through our innovation over the last couple of years. We really value those experiences for our students. I believe that even this year, despite having fewer sections in general, we have about 10 less sections at elementary school, we didn't even reduce our specials teachers. So we have the same numbers of specials teachers across the district. In terms of some assignments, I think that there was some shifts in, everyone has a home school throughout the district in our specials. The majority of our buildings have always shared, in terms of their teaching assignments, multiple buildings. Usually it's about 2 buildings, sometimes they have more. So I think that might be where the confusion lies. So I will, I've already reached out to the principal at one particular school in which I am getting a lot of emails to make sure that we clarify that and clarify for our teachers there. Again, it is not ever in a conversation that we are eliminating these valuable experiences for our young people that are here today. I believe they might want to talk about that, and we can't wait to hear your voices. And that really supports that work that we are doing to keep those incredible programs and after-school activities available for our families. So just wanted to provide that clarity for our community, and just know that we are fully committed to the robust program that we have for our students and keeping that going here in PCCS. And we will clarify at the building level if there is some confusion around that. And that concludes me.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Merritt. Okay, on to student services with Mr. Tiskowitz.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. Tonight we are presenting a proposal that was developed by the PCCS Spirit Committee. This committee, you'll learn more about, was looking at ways to boost students' school spirit. And so tonight we're going to present some information regarding moving the high school draw and when the students will learn what high school they go to. With me tonight, I have 2 amazing parents who have been actively involved in the Spirit Committee, and I would like to welcome Shay Bailey and Katie Bennett.
Hello again. So I have to say I am excited to be able to present this particular proposal to you guys today. This was a brainchild of the Spirit Committee, which was formed back in it was last school year, and a couple of us got together after a parent council meeting and said, what can we do in our district to increase overall spirit? So the committee existed of parents, staff, teachers, administrative professionals, as well as members of parent council like myself. Our mission, again, is to generate energy from our community and provide local pride and build excellence, starting with some of our competitive programs. And our goal is to increase meaningful school spirit throughout the district.
And so just as the board always ties things back to the strategic goals and the dynamic plan, our committee, of course, did the exact same thing. And so you see on the screen that, we really wanted to tie things to like increasing achievement with this proposal increasing and sustaining community partnerships, improving student outcomes, student and family engagement, as well as incorporating student voice as well, because this is also something that some of the students in the district have also expressed interest in moving and changing as well.
So a little background on what our process has been. And the high school assignment, when the park was instituted back in 1977, the process was that students were randomly assigned to one of the two high schools at the time. And then in 2002, when Plymouth High School was built, the random assignment continued with the addition of the third high school. Every student that attends the park has the ability to be assigned to any one of the three high schools. And there's a great urban legend that there are redraws if you don't like the school that you draw, and that's not the case. It's never been the case. Once a draw is done, it is permanent. There is one way. Well, let me talk a little bit about some unique situations. In the case of families that may have twins or triplets or multiples, they may receive different assignments during that random assignment process. We strive to make sure that the families are connected to one particular school if they choose. So in the case where there's multiples, and the family has the ability to choose one of those schools for the remaining kids. So for example, if there's triplets, and let's say that like this year we just happen to have 3 triplets that each got a separate high school. First time that I've heard that in the 13 years I've been doing this. So that family did essentially get to choose one of those 3 high schools because one of the children drew. If it was twins and they drew Plymouth and Canton, the other child could choose the school that the other twin got. So that is, once that is done and they establish their school for multiples, then that is irrevocable as well. There is a process right now for students who are not in school at the current time. Currently, our 6th graders at the end of their 6th grade year is when they receive their high school assignment. If they come new to the district for 9th through 12th grade, those assignments are done during the enrollment period. Our new 7th and 8th grade families that join us, they're also done at a particular window in the school year. Usually, so I think in January, we do the 7th and 8th graders that weren't here for the 6th grade year. We often get a lot of questions about students who are non-public students. If they come to the high school, then we do that post their 7th grade. So if they are identified that they're going to come to the park and want to find out where their school is going to be, then we will do those post 7th grade. There is one piece that allows families to select a high school. And oftentimes it's confusing to families because these families, if they have an older sibling, 6th grader has an older sibling, they have the ability to choose the sibling rule. Let me get the slide there. The sibling rule allows the younger student to attend the same high school as an older sibling. If they happen to have an older sibling at one particular school, they can opt to choose that school or be selected or randomly assigned themselves. They don't have to take the sibling rule. Majority of our families do select the sibling rule, but we do have families that opt to have their own draw. And this is where the confusion comes in. People that don't choose the sibling rule feel that they're redrawing because their younger sibling is getting a draw for the first time. So it's not really a redraw, they're just not accepting the sibling rule. The sibling rule, again, there is a process that we have in place that the family identifies that they want to accept the sibling rule. That decision is irrevocable as well. Once a school is decided, they are going to attend the same school. If they don't want to accept the sibling rule, then they will be randomly assigned. There's a lot of questions about how often or how long ago was the sibling there. There was in previous renditions of the sibling rule that they had to be attending that school at the time. Then there was a period where it was for 5 years. Well, now as long as that there's proof that you have a sibling that attended that school, we accept that regardless of how long ago it was. So that is something that has been modified over the years, and really that was done prior to even my department taking on this role. And I think that's about all I need to say about that. There we go.
And so, as Kurt mentioned, the current, just to clarify, it's currently the draw happens at 6th grade. So typically students find out right at the end of 6th grade. But in all the discussions that our committee had about, creating more community, creating more spirit, getting families and kids involved in the district earlier, we decided that it would make a lot more sense to take that draw from 6th grade to, for the majority of students, kindergarten, right? So you're coming into the district, just like based on where you live, your elementary school and your middle school, at point of entry in the district, you would now know the high school that you are attending as well.
I'm like horrible with these things. Okay, perfect. Oh, wait.
Go back one. There you go.
So let's talk a little bit more about the rationale behind it, because throughout the process you evaluate whether or not this makes sense from a holistic perspective. So there were 4 points that we really zoned in on as far as giving us the proof we needed to sustain this particular proposal. So one is an early sense of community, right? If you know what high school you go to, there's nowhere else that I'm aware of where you live and you don't know you are a future Wildcat or you are a future Rock, right? You don't know that information until 6th grade at this time. So again, just encouraging families to have a stronger sense of community and belonging at the beginning so they know their future here in Plymouth Canton schools. The other piece is increased parental engagement. So again, as a parent myself, I know if my students are going to a particular high school, I can then start to, become very active in that space, get to know staff and administration, lend my volunteer hours to that space so that I am creating an environment that my family feels as though we have already sort of integrated ourselves into. Another piece is stability and planning. So again, it goes back to that parent factor. We really want all of our families to really make well-informed decisions as it pertains to their academic success here in Plymouth Canton schools. And a lot of that is connected to extracurricular activities. So if if your student is into a particular sport or a particular activity, knowing what high school they go to really gives you that ability to make really informed decisions about their high school tenure. Also reduce stress at the time of transition. We connected with the middle school principals and staff, and we heard that it is a little chaotic during draw time at the middle school level. Students find out, it creates a lot of frenzy around the middle schools. All of a sudden you have a lot of excitement because students may have gotten the school that they wish that they had gotten, but it also creates some stress because you see friendships that were formed and hope that they would go on to high school level together that are broken, and that stress doesn't just stay at the middle school level, it actually penetrates into the homes and into the adults in the situation. So these are 4 points that we really investigated and looked into when deciding that point of entry would be the best for our students and our families here in our school community.
And so I think Shay touched on some of these, but I think I'll just highlight a couple of them on the screen a little bit more. I mean, this was really about an opportunity, right, for the district to do something different that we really feel is going to increase community spirit, right? And we feel that because overall what's going to happen is once we know as a district for K through 12, which Kurt will talk about the process there in a couple minutes, but once everyone does know, then you can really start to communicate directly to one specific group on a listserv of parents and families and say, hey, all of these families that are in K through 5, like, come to the Plymouth football game on Friday night, right? You're going to be a Wildcat in the future. Come to the Rocks basketball game. You're going to be here in the future, right? So it really allows more focus and attention on those families. For families who do a lot of camps, like my kids did like this Canton soccer camp this summer. I don't know if they're going to Canton because my kid is in 6th grade and he hasn't been assigned. Would he have gone to the Plymouth soccer camp if I knew he was going to Plymouth? Probably. And then he could meet, you know, all the other kids that he would possibly be playing with in high school, right? So it really starts to create those connections for students who are attending things through the school district. It also is a great opportunity for, as Shay mentioned, sort of a pipeline of PFO and PTO groups, right? So you can start to tap into parents at a much earlier point in time so that you can start those fundraising initiatives early. You can start to get parents invested in fundraising and funding and pitching in and like contributing to things that are going up at high school because they know that their kid is going to be there, right? I'm much more likely to donate to build something at Salem if I know my kids are going to Salem. Like, that's just the way we all are, right? Because right now it's really hard. All of that's so divided up across the district. And so if we can really focus in on that. And then lastly, I think there's a retention aspect of this too, right? There's a lot of kids who don't like the idea that they don't know where they're going for this long period of time. There's a lot of families that don't like that. And that's one of the reasons why families sometimes leave the district. And so even if we can keep just a small portion of those students here in our district, it makes a really big difference. So those are, again, some of the opportunities. There's a whole bunch more that we discussed as a committee, but for the succinctness of this presentation, there are those.
So next is developing a process. So this initiative started with the community. Our Spirit Committee gathered that information from a variety of different perspectives. Then here we're at the Board of Education Awareness, providing information to you on what our plan would be moving forward. The next phase after presenting tonight would be to share a communication plan with our community and how that will, how this process will take place. It's going to be a process because if you think about only doing 6th grade 1 year, we're going to have to look at doing 6th grade, 5th grade, and 4th grade, and 3rd grade, 2nd grade, 1st grade, and kindergarten. And we have to do it succinctly because you can't do 1st grade before you do 6th grade because they won't know about the sibling rule. So we have to develop a process where we're going to do multiple grade levels within a year. And it may take 2 years to accomplish this because of the time frame of notifying families what their draw is, whether or not they want to accept a sibling rule or if they wanted to be randomly assigned themselves. So there will be a communication plan that includes regular updates and an FAQ for families if they have questions. And then again, developing that timeline, looking at how long it's going to take to do all of the current grades to get them assigned, and then moving forward, it will move towards the point of entry. So with that, we'll open it up to any questions you might have.
Thank you for your presentation. I'm actually going to start over with Josh.
I currently have no questions, but thank you for all your hard work. I can tell it's a lot, and I think it'll be great. So.
Yeah, I also have no questions, but thank you for the great presentation.
All right, Anupa?
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. I know we had a brief update in Student Performance and Achievement Committee a few months ago. I have a couple of questions in terms of, Katie, I think you mentioned that you gather student feedback. Can you share how that was gathered and how many students participated in that?
I don't think there wasn't a formal process. So, but the teachers we had on our committee were sort of the teachers that sort of got feedback from their students. So it wasn't formal, but there were, I don't know how many they really asked. And those teachers aren't here anymore, so I can't ask them either. But I'll go back and look at my notes though.
Okay.
Anupam, I might have something from our meeting minutes notes of like how many students, but it was definitely like, it wasn't a formal process, very informal.
Okay, so a handful of schools?
I would say, yeah, and it also was a lot of the athletes, like the athletic director at Plymouth asked for a lot of feedback from athletes as well on this. So so students or student athletes and non-student athletes from the teachers as well. So, but I would probably say like a dozen if I had to take a guess based on like, if I recall correctly. Yeah, from the meeting, yeah. But I can look at my minute note, like my
Okay,
meeting notes
I think
too.
that's good enough.
Okay.
And then you talked about parent involvement, and so how many parents were part of this committee?
3, 4? 3, Jennifer, 4.
Okay.
Yeah, 4. I think it was about 4 parents, 1 administrator, well, from the core team. There were 1 athletic director, 3 teachers. So there's about 10 of us, I think, on the committee.
And did you reach out to other parents through like informal feedback just to say, hey, we're thinking about this, what do you
Yes.
think?
Yeah, there's a
Okay.
lot of informal discussions from the
Okay.
committee and then with people on the parent council as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Mayer, I have a question, or more of like a clarifying statement. This is an example of an administrative function, right? So this is not something that the board votes on? So this is more of an FYI for the board and the committee, or the community, correct?
Yes, that is correct. So if you look at the process of where students go to school, that's the board as policy, and the random draw that you heard, that's all board. But then when we look at the assignments or when, that was the administrative guideline. So this would be, again, just an awareness for board, getting that feedback, an awareness to the community. Now, if there were something from the board that said, hey, freeze, we don't like this, and that's something that we could explore. But no, you would not be expected to take action right now, just wanted to have an awareness of the work of the committee.
Great. To your earlier statement about making sure that we clarify rumors, that was one of the reasons
Yes.
I asked that, because there's some rumors floating around that the board came up with this and it's, board pushed down.
Yes.
So it really came from parents and students and community members. I'm
100%.
hearing,
Yeah,
right?
this
Okay.
absolutely came from, again, as Shay mentioned, like this was a committee that was formed out of the parent council. Everybody at parent council was invited to join the committee, right, and to attend these sessions and so forth. And then we got Monica involved, and it was Nick Brandon was sort of our leader at the time. And so, and we do hope to continue because there's a lot of other great ideas that that this committee came up with, stemming from discussions at parent council specifically. And so we are hoping, Monica's looking, we're going to have a plan moving forward to kind of keep this committee in place, because it is a great parent-led initiative. So,
Well, thank you for your work.
So as Anupam said, we had a long and good discussion in our SPA committee meeting. A couple of questions I have. One is, you focus on the opportunities in the presentation. Was there any discussion of the negatives, right, or the potential for negatives? And what possible negatives did you see?
yeah, I mean, the biggest negative we found was people like the idea of finding out in 6th grade. Like, a lot of people feel like that's a special time and that it like gets kids excited for high school in the future. I think that was the biggest one. I don't recall off the top of my head any other main negatives to the discussion. I think at first there was some concern about the ability of Kurt's team to like execute and, the bandwidth to like be able to, not that he can't do it, just that it's going to take some time to do it. And like, so what does that look like, right? Like, what does that transition look like? There's going to be some work involved there. And so like, that was definitely a discussion point as well, in terms of a possible negative, because it's going to take a couple years at least to do this. And so like, that's a transition and a change, and people don't always like change. And so that's, so that was definitely discussed as well. But for the the tradition of it, that kind of a thing. But for the most part, I think we as a committee felt like this was really truly moving in the right direction, and this is why it's come this far, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Do you see any potential for, say, cliques to develop or jealousy to develop? So, for example, you gave the example that, you could fund the schools, right, and be more involved in the PTOs. Mm-hmm. I can see a scenario where I'm going to join together with the parents of students that go to Plymouth, and Anupam's going to join with the parents that go to Salem, and there can be some conflict or, missed opportunities to make friendships among the kids and things like that. Maybe not great, because seriously, kindergartens aren't all that focused on high school.
I mean, I guess I don't think that's going to happen any more than it would happen
Okay.
today, right? I guess, I
Okay.
don't know. Shay, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, and one thing we did explore is the parent participation really drops off at the high school level. And of course, you have students now who are at that point managing some things on their own that parents didn't necessarily manage prior to. But the goal is if the parent is already involved in this high school trajectory, that they will continue, we can tap into at least a small group and continue that involvement through the high school level.
Okay. Thank you for the presentation. One thing I'd really like to see before this is officially decided upon and kicked off is a more formal survey of, across the district of parental thought on it and student thought on it, because it is a big change. I mean, I remember, you mentioned the excitement. I remember my own kids' excitement when the school got picked, and the worry that friends would change and things like that. So there's benefits, but I'd also like to see kind of a more community input into this, because it is a big change. But other than that, I mean, it's a nice idea. It's a good idea.
So I want to thank you for the really thoughtful presentation and the really student-focused and family-focused process that you went through for this. I would make a little bit of a counterpoint to Member Westra. I don't think we want to do a survey. This is not a popularity contest. We're doing this as a way to determine what is the best way for us to build community in the school. I think certainly getting additional input is important. But I don't think this is something where people vote whether they want to do this or not vote to do this. That's not the nature of what this process is. I did have a question on the logistics of it as related to families changing over the period of time between kindergarten and entering high school. I mean, that's a much longer period of time, and you might have a family that merges with somebody that's got an older sibling that already has a history there. I assume we probably have some policy around that right now, but it's more likely to occur in the future. Can you explain what that policy is now and how that would work in the future?
So as we have blended families occur, what happens is as long as that student isn't already attending that particular school, like the high school, then we'll look at marriage certificates and proof of blended families and those kind of things. So we do have a process for blended families.
Okay, so then they could elect to select the sibling rule as long as they weren't already in high school.
Correct.
So up through the end of the eighth
grade year.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Most of my questions have been answered, so thank you for this. I've heard from families who wanted to know sooner because, like you said, everywhere else you know exactly what school your children will go to. And I did think that it was kind of disruptive to the schools during that pick time, because you have some kids who are really happy, some kids who are not so happy, and then you had the siblings who already knew what they were doing, and they were like, yeah, I don't care, because and as far as like high school participation, you tend to you participate in more of the activities your children are involved in. So if you have a child that is in the marching band, you kind of do marching band stuff. But it would be nice when your children are in elementary school or middle school even to be able to say, oh, you're going to Salem, let's go to the basketball game because you love basketball. To spend that kind of time. So thank you for doing this. And Kurt, it sounds like a lot of work, and good luck.
Thank you guys. After watching all mine go through, it sounds like a good idea, but I think for me, coming from a school where you go through your elementary, your middle school, and your high school, and you take those friends with you, I found that there was a big concern for mine, like, oh, I hope she's on my team, especially if it's a sports team. So fortunately, that turned out well for mine, but I did see where they had done sports for how long, or they worked together, and then they were against each other. And so that does sort of cause some distress, I think, sometimes with the kids, and it's a way of keeping that friendship together. Sometimes when you get to this big campus, if you aren't at the same school, it's a lot harder to keep up those friendships that you've had for so long, and that's a support that I think is also important to kids. I mean, it could work for you too the other way. You might not see somebody that you didn't get along with too. So, but that's, I don't think there's a fix for that unless we did something totally different. So that's probably a good. So thank you.
Yeah, I don't have any questions. Thank you for the thoughtful presentation. I agree with a lot of what you said. I have a rising sixth grader who's going to find out, this year. I went through the process, here at P-CCS. I do know that we have a very unique campus, right, with 3 high schools where you can have classes in any one of those. So I think any way that we can prepare our students for, that unique experience and feel like they belong to, a home school early on, I think it's wonderful. So thank you so much for bringing this to our attention, and I look forward to seeing the rollout.
Madam President, can I ask one more question or
Sure.
make a statement?
Please.
And I think it was mentioned in my colleagues to the left of me, in terms of gathering more feedback, in terms of are there blind spots that you may not be considering,
Sure.
and looking at how do you make this better, making sure that the rollout is smoother. Communication is critical, and what does that communication plan look like? Making sure that families, students, staff, community members understand it and know about it. So I trust that you will take all those things into consideration, but I just wanted to put that out there.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we're on to communications and marketing with Mr. Ruggiero.
As Mr. Ruggiero is on his way up, I just want to remind the board, this is actually a request that came from a board meeting a few years back when we were talking about our panorama information surveys that go out, and that our students beginning in the 3rd grade have the opportunity to give their own feedback. And the question was around our K2 because our staff completes that survey for our K2. So board asked us, is there a way to gather or work to gather student voice at the kindergarten through the 2nd grade level? So I'm proud that the team went to work, and this evening they will share the results of some of this K2 focus work that has gone on for the last couple of years. Mr. Ruggiero.
Thank you, Dr. Merritt. Madam Chair, members of the board. My great pleasure to introduce my 2 mates on this project. Dave Turrell, our principal from Tonda Elementary, and I'm looking at his title because it's a long one. Jonathan Flukes, who is our outstanding Director of Data Assessment and Evaluation. From the very beginning when we got this project, I've worked on focus groups and worked on surveys throughout my career, but wasn't sure exactly how we were going to approach this work because these students are so young. But we know that it's important to the board to hear all voices of all students, and so we attacked with both hands. So as Dr. Merritt said, we know that the Panorama Survey covers our students in grades, sorry, wrong one. Okay, great. In grades 3 through 12, but that our K2 students are a little young to be filling out surveys of this nature. So the solution was to really find a way to get that information, to get solid information from the young students. And so we thought, after some discussions with our team here, that a focus group would be the right way to do that. So I've worked with Mr. Turrell in the past, and I have to also acknowledge his student support coordinator, Vanessa Titus. They were really the first partners that I sat down with and said, how do we attack this, and what ways would be the best way to do that? So with their guidance and the guidance of Mr. Flukes, we ran a pilot program in the 22-23 year at Tonda Elementary with some great results. So we, at that point, packaged that information, went to several principal meetings, talked to all the elementary principals, and assigned our principals to do this work this past school year. So as we always do when we approach our work, we always look at the dynamic plan. How does it fit? Where does it fit? And we found that this work actually addresses 3 of the major goals: strategic goal B, strategic goal C, and strategic goal D. I know that from working with you previously that we always look at the logic model and how it sets up the logic model. So I'm not going to read all of that to you, but it gives you a good idea of how we did this work. So finally, as the rubber met the road here, these are the numbers that I have for you. 11 schools participated. There were 6 to 12 students at each school. Students participated in small groups or an individual level. Some of the principals felt like they could get better information from the students by talking to them directly, individually. And so you see the numbers: 85 total participants, 27 kindergartners, 32 first graders, 26 second graders. One of the things, as we talked to Jonathan, we thought it was really important that we tried to mirror the data that we were collecting from Panorama. So you'll notice that a lot of the questions or the information that we were trying to draw from the students is very similar to the information that's drawn for the Panorama student survey with the older students as well. And you see those some of the questions that we asked there. The communications and marketing team provided the recording devices and collected all the data. The Tanda team ran the pilot program, as I mentioned. And one of the things that I thought was really important here was, and Dave and Vanessa really did a great job with this, they developed a tricks and tips document. We know that our principals have a lot of work to do. They're very, very busy all the time. And so what Dave did, even down to cut and paste kind of things, so the message to parents, the message to staff, the different groups that you wanted to inform that you were doing this work before you sat the students down, Dave and Vanessa created a tips and tricks document that gave our principals everything, that made it as easy as possible for them. And it also duplicated the process, so we knew everybody was kind of doing it the same way. So that was really great work. And then Jonathan, I know you've worked with him before. He really analyzed the data for her. He crunched the numbers and produced the results for us, which I think are quite good, and I think you'll be interested in seeing. So with that, I'm going to introduce Dave Turrell to take us to the next portion of the presentation.
Thank you, Frank. So first of all, our objective was to select a diverse group of students because we wanted to ensure that we had equitable representation across the school. We just felt that it was really important to pay attention to the demographic detail here because we didn't want to select a homogeneous, high-achieving group and just get one predictable perspective. We wanted a broad sample of students who represent the diversity that we have as a district because ultimately we recognize that there are differences in student experiences and perspectives, and we wanted to capture those unique voices. Really, the only way for us to make sure that happened was to make sure they were represented throughout the process. I have to say that as an aside, when I reached out to the parents that we selected for this, they were just beyond thrilled at the opportunity to participate and support Strategic Goal D, which is incorporating student voice and input throughout the educational experience. On a personal level, as a principal, I just have to say it was awesome. It was just awesome to connect with these students and hear their authentic and unfiltered feedback, which is fun because when you're talking to 5- and 7-year-olds and you're talking about unfiltered feedback, you never really know what you're going to get, right? But many of our students were just incredibly insightful and very articulate. They shared their thoughts and their feelings very openly and honestly and gave us some great information. The whole process was so positive for us, in fact, that when Mr. Ruggiero was, when we were done with this, I talked to Mr. Ruggiero and said, you know, whether we roll this out to the district or not, this is something we're going to make a regular process at Tonda Elementary, just because it really, we saw the value in this process and appreciated connecting with kids on that level. For the next piece, I'm going to have Mr. Fuchs come up.
So I get the pleasure of sharing some of the results. Luckily, they're not as complex as they sometimes are when I'm up here presenting to the board, because really we're talking about how often did students say certain types of things, and essentially what % of students said those things in these small focus groups. So what I'm going to do is, there. So what you'll see is kind of a visual representation of what students said for each of those items, and then a quick little summary of some of the big key ideas that we found in the data. So the first question was really about how students feel coming to school most days. That was the big thing that we asked them, and you can see here positive feelings was one of the most common things that students talked about when they talked about feeling when they come to school most days. There's some other things they mentioned there, and you'll see them listed here. So I just wanted to show you kind of how many of the 85 maximum students, how often did they say some of those things. And these aren't mutually exclusive, so some students may have talked about both positive feelings about learning. So they might have said multiple things within here, but this clearly shows that students have positive experience, and that's kind of the dominant theme of that most, how they feel most days coming to school. They also talk about learning a lot. You'll see on that chart that learning was the most commonly enjoyed aspect of that school day. And then we also, as Dave mentioned, having direct feedback from students, they give us some opportunities for some areas of improvement. So looking at some of the mixed and negative sentiments they may have had could help us change how we support students throughout the day. So now about help. Who is here to help you when you need help at school? And you can see here the most commonly chosen responses by those students in grades K through 2. So teachers are the primary source of support for students in the school, and they said that, and so that was pretty clear. And you also see that the building leaders, the principal particularly, is also a significant figure in these students' lives at school. Friends also a very important aspect of their school day, as well as other staff members that they have in the school. And even a few students also mentioned the safeties at their buildings. Now this question was specifically about learning, and so this is asking students how they feel about learning when they're at school. And so this is really more about kind of those core feelings about learning. So again, highly positive feedback in terms of how they felt about learning in school. So again, positive perceptions were the most common response of students. And I included a few examples just to give you an idea of some of the things, what might be a positive response. So excited because they get to learn something new. So that would be a positive perception about learning at school. And then some students had some mixed feelings. So they may have mentioned, dealing with a couple different things. So some stuff is hard and some stuff is fun. I like learning, but sometimes it makes me feel tired. So there's a little bit of give and take there, some mixed feelings. And then we also have some students who just mentioned negative feelings about learning in school. So and one example was that they were worried because it's hard for me to focus. So just simply knowing that is helpful as we support students throughout the day, that they could have these negative feelings about learning, and it's nice to hear that from them so we can address those. And then, what is your favorite thing about school? I'm sure the most common response is not a surprise to most in the community, but you'll see that there's a lot of things that were mentioned here. So it wasn't one clear one that leapt above the other. So there's lots of things that students mentioned as being their favorite thing at school. So again, clearly, the favorite things varied widely, but recess was the most frequently mentioned one. Social interaction, those are some of the favorite things, critical to their enjoyment of school. But then also specials and academic subjects were also mentioned. Those are things that they like at school. They enjoy things at school around the things that they're learning. And of course, lunch is mentioned. Specifically, one student mentioned pancakes. And then specific events also were things that they mentioned, like snow cone day, things like that. And then the last time was really about anything else, real open for them. So not every student responded to this because it was kind of like, do you have anything else to say? And so those that did offer their feedback was generally more positive. And then they specifically mentioned some aspects of the school that they liked, certain classes, building, traditions at the school. They even offered suggestions, as Dave said, unfettered suggestions on how to improve the school is great. I think some students were mentioning, how they might manage the student lunch line differently. So those are some things that you don't always expect if you're not asking that specific question. So, and then there's some personal anecdotes about, missing their parents and wanting to ride the bus. Dave?
So, of course, as we facilitated these focus groups, we took some notes, so we had some information that we could use right away. But I have to say, Frank and Jonathan have done a great job collating the data district-wide, which they're sharing with you today. And I know that our individual school leaders are looking forward to getting that information in a more formal presentation that shows the specifics for their individual schools now that that information's been shared with you. We thought it was important to recognize, though, that simply collecting data doesn't really do a whole lot unless you identify the things that you're doing well and identify the things that you could do better. And frankly, we found a lot of things that we were doing well at Tonda, and we were very proud of that. But there were some things that we could do differently as well, based on the feedback. For example, we recognized that our students heavily identified their classroom teacher and the principal, myself, as someone that they could go to for help. But it was interesting that our student support coordinator and our behavior support specialist, who work with these kids one-on-one as much or more than I do, weren't as heavily identified. And that was interesting to me. And so we sat down and we started thinking about why that might be, and we decided that we needed to get our student support coordinator and our behavior support specialist out in front of the entire school more. So since then, we've started monthly assemblies based on our CASEL competencies. We found that those not only support our SEL initiatives, but also support our MyKIP goals regarding staff and student belonging, which is wonderful. Our student support coordinator develops those assemblies herself, and she presents them herself. I'm kind of in the background, which is great, so that she's up there and seen in a leader capacity more frequently. Our behavior support specialist is also running our equity initiatives with the Anti-Defamation League, getting our No Place for Hate designation, which we've had for a couple of years now. And she works with student leaders to create equity presentations for their classrooms and lead those initiatives for our building. So we're hoping that having them in the classrooms and out in front of students more is going to help students realize what champions for kids that they are, and go to them more frequently. Yeah, just to say that this represents just Tonda Elementary, right? So all of the schools have their own and unique experiences, but I just have to say thank you to Dr. Merritt and Mr. Ruggiero for including Tonda in this in 22-23 initially. We just thrilled to death to be a part of that, and like I said, we're going to continue doing this every year because it really does not only support our dynamic plan, but we get great actionable information from our youngest students who often don't have that voice. So, thanks.
So we'll take some questions from the board if they have them.
Josh, do you want to start?
Not necessarily a question. Thank you for the great presentation. I just remember a specific experience with like the safety program, which was amazing. So I had the privilege to safety, and I really enjoyed it. But there was this little kindergartner that got off the bus every day, and the first day that he got off the bus, he grabbed my hand, and I walked him to the lines, and then every day we did that, and I ran into him, and he was like, that helped me so much, and it like warmed like the inside of me so much. Aww. So I know it helps, so it's a great program. And other than that, no questions. A great presentation. Thank you for all the information.
I just have to brag, Josh is a former Timberwolf, so it was great to see him here today.
I have no questions, but I wanted to say that I think this is a very effective way of ensuring that all the students in the district are represented. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Glad that you guys thought, how do we get better with that data collection with K2? So thanks for doing that pilot and thinking outside the traditional boxes. So my questions to you include, the first one, is this the baseline data from which you will now look at future data, or is this part of an additional data set?
Well, I think at this point we'll share it with the principals. We brought it to you first, as Dave said, because it was you who requested the information. I think we'll now sit down and have some discussions and talk about how we'll use that appropriately.
Okay.
Okay.
And so what does this data tell you just kind of initially in terms of some conversations you might be having, or is this too early to talk about that?
I can't speak for the district because I haven't spent enough time with the district level data. I can speak for Tonda specifically. When I talked about making sure we didn't pick a homogeneous, high achieving group of students because we wanted variety and voice, we were really successful in doing that. we had students from every demographic group that our district tracks. One thing that was really, really phenomenal about that is we saw very consistent positive messages across all of those demographic groups. So, to your question about what do we do with that, it tells us that we're doing something good about making sure that everybody has a place and feels valued and a sense of belonging at our school.
I have a couple more questions, so I can wait until everyone goes around, or do you want me to go ahead and ask?
Sure, go ahead, you can go ahead and ask. We'll just continue after you're
Okay.
finished.
Do you have any plans to include more students? I like the breakdown in the diverse student selection that you already have. Any plans to expand the number of students, including multilingual learners? And did you have any challenges with language barriers?
Yeah, in fact, we did have a multilingual learner on the panel, but what was most impressive is that we had a student who doesn't have the capability of oral speech, so we have to teach her we have to adapt all of her learning materials. Literally everything that we use to teach on a daily basis, we have to create from scratch so that she can access the curriculum. And she has a communication device, and so we had that student connect with us as well. When she came to us 2 years ago, this is such a wonderful story. She had never been able to actually communicate with her parents, and we decided to kind of tackle that challenge and see if there was a way that we could give her access to the general ed curriculum. And we have some amazing special ed teachers who have done just an outstanding job supporting this child and transformed her trajectory. So she was actually a part of that panel and was able to give us her direct feedback, which just the fact that she could communicate to us was pretty amazing. So absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Well, that's a great story. One last, and more of a statement. So I see recess is the most popular, and want to make sure that that stays. Dr. Barrett, just clarifying question: does recess count for instructional time?
Yes, and it does during either they do a morning or afternoon recess, but it does not count during the lunch period.
Okay, all right. So, so important, and I know that sometimes recess can get taken away for certain things, and I just want to emphasize how important and valuable it is for all kids to make sure that they all have that valuable time to just play and just be out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Thank you for presenting this, and thank you for doing the work to do this. I'm very impressed by the care and attention that you paid to it, and I hope that it continues. I love the fact that the parents, were thrilled to see you see you involve them too. I just hope that it continues. It would be interesting to see, and I don't know if it's possible, it would be interesting to see how those answers change in the panorama survey as the children move into third grade or high school or whatever. So it'd be interesting to track it over time. But I hope to hear that, this has been made a regular part of the K through 12 learning. Thank you.
I'd echo the feedback from the other speakers. Is that really great presentation. I noticed that we did 11 schools and that we had targeted rolling this thing out district-wide. And I understand we have 14 elementary schools. What are we doing? Are we continuing this program? And what are we doing to make sure that all the schools are participating?
I guess I think what I would tell you is I've been fortunate enough to watch some of our principals with how they deal with the data from the panorama survey and how they break it down. And I think we'll have more answers for you after our principals kind of break this information down. And I think we need to leave it to them to decide how they move forward with it. And I say that with confidence because I've seen what they do with that data. And so I think we'll move forward with it. I think we'll have more for you. We did have a little data problem with recording in a couple of the cases, so that's why some of the schools aren't represented here.
Okay, so just towards that end, we did do all 14 schools, but we didn't we had a problem with collecting the data.
We had a little
from-
bit of
from
problem with
few of
data
them?
collection, yes.
Okay, so, but we did do all 14.
They were all signed it, yes.
That's great. Okay, that helps me a lot. And then the other question I have was really on the nature of a focus group versus the kind of anonymous surveys that we do at the other levels. You know, I was really heartened to see that some of the negative feedback still came through in that focus group, because that takes a lot for someone to be able to bring forward those negative feelings. What do we do in the nature of those focus groups to give those students a safe place to be able to provide their feedback, positive or negative, in that process?
Yeah, I think that goes back a couple of things. One is that's why we spent so much time in the selection process, to make sure that we heard a wide array of student voices, right? But the biggest thing is just sitting down and having a conversation with kids. Every kid in that building knows me, and I sit down and I greet every student every single morning. And so when we sat in a conference room together, and I just started asking them questions, and they just start answering them, and then we just start having conversation like we're just talking out on the playground. So there's a natural sense of being comfortable, and you know, they're 5 to 7 years old, so they have no idea that I'm actually asking specific questions to collect data. They're just talking to me as their friend and principals.
Got it. So I saw that it was in small grade level groups or individually. So in some cases you did these as one-on-one conversations with individual students, not with 7 kids at the same time.
So I can only speak to Tonda because I did the Tonda ones. In all of ours, we did small groups with focus group, except for the one student that I mentioned earlier. Because of her communication needs, we did her with 2 adults to support her.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I can add to that a little bit too. I know that some of the schools, some of the principals, based on their school population and how their relationships with their students, felt like it would be better to talk to them individually.
Okay.
So I think we kind of left that up to the principal to decide. You know how it can go with young ones in a conversation. So if, sometimes when you get a number of them in the room, there'll be some parroting of answers, and we wanted to make sure. So we left that to the principal to decide.
That's what I was kind of curious about. Thank you for explaining that. Thank you.
Yeah. So I had similar questions to my colleagues have already asked. You know, how do we capture more voice across all 14 schools? I know that you said there was about 6 to 12 students per building. I'm wondering, how does that compare from like a percentage standpoint of responses from our older students? So grades 3 through 12. I think we've learned that high school age, it sort of drops off, tapers off in terms of participation, but we see a lot of participation in upper L and in middle school. So, you know, can we model that in K2 as well?
So you're asking if we can model like the increase in the numbers of students that participate?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that would probably be on how much we could handle in a focus group. What would be a comfortable, small enough group where they could feel comfortable talking with each other if it's a focus group. So again, that would probably be something that we'd kind of talk about as what would work best at the elementary level.
Mm-hmm.
Just acknowledging that this is not meant to be a large sample. It's kind of a focus group, which is designed to be small to get more deeper descriptive feedback from the students. So
Okay.
it's a little bit richer data we get from a smaller group in that sense. So there's a little bit different ways to collect the data, so they're just different. Their focus groups are designed to be small, so you can get that more deeper data. So we could talk about, you know, as we use this information and the elementary principals look at that, kind of how we might modify that if we need to kind of either hey, maybe they would like to see more students involved and how they might go about doing that.
Okay.
That would be a discussion, you know, after the fact.
Yeah,
But you're right, yes, in terms of the percentages, I mean, we have between like 350 and 700 students in each elementary school, so, you know, there's, it can get, so I don't know offhand the percentages, but we can get those for you if you need.
Sure. No, I think it's helpful just even clarifying that those focus groups really are meant to be a deeper dive in a smaller group, so that, you know, just as clarification. But if we do want to scale that up, I'm curious as to what that plan would look like.
Yeah, and if we scale it up, and then we're asking students to respond like a survey, and there's not that much reliability in students' responses and those things, so it's kind of like it's a sweet spot in terms of, you know, that size and that kind of context.
Sure.
But definitely would look at it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just to add on to what he was saying, just from a logistics perspective, right? If we were to do it, let's just say with an entire classroom, 25 students, what we would likely see is those high achieving, more confident students dominating the conversation.
Right.
And then that really waters down the value of the process because we're just getting that isolated perspective again. So keeping it small and paying a lot of attention to, selecting that diverse group that is representative of the entire district is really important, and that's how we get that deep dive that Jonathan mentioned.
Great, thank you.
So most of my questions have been answered. What kind of time did this take? Like when you have a focus group, did you have a time limit where you said, okay, it's been 45 minutes, we got to move on, or?
Yeah, so the initial pilot took a fair bit of time in planning. We wanted to make sure that we were checking all of the boxes, so to speak, and making sure we're doing it the right way. So really the setup and organization of that and creation of the logistics was what took the most time. Once we got to the point where we were actually doing it, it really didn't take too much time. And to me personally, the value that we got from it far outweighs any of the time investment. That's why, as Frank mentioned, we created templates for all of the other administrators to use so that we could eliminate that development of what they're going to do. So that all they had to do is just go down the checklist and follow the protocol that we established. But now that we've established it, it doesn't take much time.
I did like the fact that I did see that, so recess was picked the most as their favorite thing, but even academic subjects, we're not that far behind. So the children must be enjoying elementary school. So that's a great thing.
Thank you, and that's a nod to our teachers. I can say we had specific teachers mentioned about the way that they teach math or reading, and thank you for recognizing that. That goes to our teachers.
Is this gonna, one of my questions is this gonna take the place of then the teachers doing that survey for those kids? Because usually the teachers were the ones that would kind of identify things like in that list.
I don't believe so.
No?
This was more of an add-on. Again, as the board appropriately said, they wanted to hear all student voice. So that's what kind of charged the work, and that was an add-on to the other things that we're doing. I don't think anything goes away because of this work.
Okay, I just know some teachers aren't comfortable making that perspective of a student when they, in the other surveys for that age group. And then the other thing too is, have you thought of sending the survey home to parents to go over the kids? Because you may get a whole different answer.
So, I suppose that's a possibility.
And you could
again,
get more kids that way, maybe.
Certainly, good feedback. I think what we're going to do again is we're going to give this information next to the principals and have some discussions about what makes sense, what they'll do with the data, how Dave gave you some ideas of some of the things that he's done in his school based on the information he received. I think that'll be different for every building. So we'll spend some time at the principal meetings and have some discussions and see where we land with that.
Yeah, maybe like a pilot to see if you get a different answer from the kids, from the parents, where they might feel a little more comfortable, where, being like with the principal or something, some of them might feel a little more intimidated and give it, like, yep, I'm happy. And then with the recess, I'm also concerned about the recess, just the options on that, the amount of time, because I think they only have 20 minutes, right? Isn't it like per day for the... I've always been concerned with that, even when mine went through.
Yeah, I can speak to that. All students get two recess periods. We recognize that play is a very, very important part of their learning, frankly, and that's why it's instructional time. I don't want to preach to the choir here and explain everything that they learn through that, but there's a lot of social emotional lessons, kinesthetic development.
I know they do social emotional learning for 20 minutes, like in the morning.
Approximately 20 minutes every morning.
But they don't have recess.
They do a reconnection at the end of the day.
And they don't have recess in the morning, though, right?
Depends on the grade. Some grades might. Our earlier grades might have, our younger grades might have recess in the morning.
Morning and afternoon? Okay.
They would have 2 recesses per day, so one with their lunch period and one with their either AM or PM, depending on special schedule and lunch schedule.
Would there be, if a parent opted out of the social emotional learning?
I do want to keep this to the topic of the survey, so I appreciate the questions.
I'll
If
ask
you
that
have
another
additional
time.
questions, will you email us and
Sure.
we can get those answered for you? Okay. All right, thank you, everybody. Oh,
Can I add
Josh.
one more question?
Yes, you can, please.
Sorry. So I just thought about this. What time in the school year did the survey take place? Because I know like Panorama, you take multiple different surveys, like one in the fall and then one towards the end of the school year. So I'm curious like when you surveyed them.
I think the majority of them took place in the spring. I will tell you that we wanted to give the principals plenty of time to do this work. So I believe it was probably October, November last year when my team presented to the principals and kind of assigned the work, and then they were given to the end of the school year to do it. So, but Dave, it seemed like most of them did it in the spring, right?
Yeah, we did ours, if I recall correctly, in early April, and I think most of the other schools were somewhere around that time frame.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Okay, we're moving on to finance and operations with Ms. Minnick.
Madam President, can I?
We're going to stick to the
Stick to
schedule
the- okay.
as, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, President Christensen.
Mhm.
First, we are recommending, the Safety and Security Department, rather, is recommending the purchase of a new GMC Terrain SUV vehicle to support the Security Department. One of the existing department trucks will be sold or traded in due to recurring maintenance issues to help offset the cost of the vehicle. The GMC Terrain is the only state bid compact SUV that is available to the district, so the cost of this vehicle will partially be funded by State School Aid Act Section 31AA grant monies and partially from the Security Department general operating budget. The item was presented at the Finance and Operations Committee meeting held on September 5th, and the cost is not to exceed $34,079, and that includes the added lighting, radios, and lettering on the side of the vehicle. I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Great, thank you. Starting with Josh, any questions?
No questions that I can think of. Thank you.
Saeed?
I have no questions either, thank you.
Thank you. Anupam?
No questions.
No questions.
Discussed in F&O.
Yes, I was also at F&O, no questions.
I looked at the F&O stuff, and thank you.
Yeah.
And I was at FNO, so no question.
Okay, great, thanks.
Thank you. Next item is a recommendation to purchase building entry intercom systems. The district Safety and Security Department has identified a need to replace outdated building entry intercom and access control systems, which have been failing and lack compatibility with existing security cameras. A recent assessment by Secure Education Consultants identified these upgrades as necessary for improving safety. The resolution is a request to approve the purchase using alongside surveillance camera upgrades through the SafeWare Cooperative Purchasing Agreement. The total is not to exceed $153,904.62, and funding is available through Section 31AA grant funding. This resolution was presented at the Finance and Operations Committee meeting as well. Okay, I'll take any questions. Thank you.
Josh, any questions?
Yes, just one. I'm assuming that now it is compatible with the software that is used, right, currently? All right.
Yes, thank you.
I have no questions, thank you.
A question about warranty on this. What is the warranty on the equipment?
Thank you for that question. I have to admit I'm not familiar with that off the top of my head. I'm not sure if Mr. Tiskowitz might have a...
We
And I
can get that
apologize,
information for you.
I feel we discussed this at FNO.
Okay, perhaps in
We'll
board notes
provide
we
an
can get
answer
that?
to you, for sure. Thank you. I apologize I don't have that answer at my fingertips for you.
Okay. And just a clarifying question in terms of this is going to replace all of the old equipment, so everything is going to be standardized, or is it certain pockets?
Mhm. My understanding is that we have, as a district, already replaced a significant amount of the building intercom systems, and this is the remaining intercoms. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah. What we've noticed is that the current system that we have, the A-phones, it's hard to get parts and to repair them. So switching over to this system will connect it to our Vigilance system and make it a more comprehensive visitor management type system.
One last question, and perhaps this could roll into the other items. Can we get in board notes the annual software licensing fees for all of these things?
Thank you.
Just a clarifying question. You mentioned that all of the schools are getting upgraded, but that much of it had already been replaced, but then I look in the memo and it says 13 elementary schools, and it doesn't mention Starkweather. So are they included in this? Is the extra?
Some of the equipment have already been replaced due to, unable to repair the current system. So we've moved forward with this system on those buildings. So
Okay.
some of them already been done.
All right. Thank you.
And through the bond work as well.
Okay. Thank you.
So we discussed this extensively in F&O, and this project, as well as the next two that we'll be discussing, all unify how all this technology is accessed as part of our security process. So they all can be tied together as part of our overall security and control system. So that's one of the things that is beneficial as part of these particular solutions. And as was already mentioned, all of these things are designed to bring all of our schools up to the same level as part of the process. So some we've already had to replace because we couldn't get parts. And at least from what I understand, there is not a software licensing component as part of these purchases on any of these three initiatives that we're purchasing. They're all part of the process that we have. The exception to that is when we get to the AVR servers, and we'll talk about that when it's there.
Yeah, just to add what Treasurer Kehoe had mentioned, another point that we discussed at F&O was around just the ease of use of the updated intercom system. I think because some other buildings have already implemented it and essentially piloted the program or the actual intercom hardware and software, they say it's a lot easier to use, a lot clearer to see, who's coming and going and that sort of thing. So I think overall this is very advantageous to implement elsewhere. Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions. Thank you, though.
Neither do I. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the recommendation to purchase additional building access control points. We're seeking to enhance security with these added control points across the district. After consulting with building administrators, additional access points were identified by those folks as necessary for safety. Each point will be equipped with a card reader and compatible hardware, along with a purchase of 3,000 new encrypted proximity cards. This initiative follows a safety assessment by Secure Education Consultants, which highlighted the need for this improved access control. The hardware and licenses have been quoted by Safeware, a cooperative purchasing agreement, in the amount of $88,113.44, and again will be funded by Section 31AA. The project will install new access control hardware, control panels, card readers at 11 elementary buildings, 5 middles, and 4 high schools. This security enhancement supports the district's strategic goal B. It was also presented at the Finance and Operations Committee on September 5.
Okay, Josh, any questions?
All my questions have been answered. Thank you.
Saeed?
I have no questions.
Thanks. Anupam?
Same question with the warranty. Is that unknown with this one as well?
Yes.
Okay.
I apologize for that.
That's okay. In the 88,000 software fee, is that a one-time fee?
Yes, it is.
Okay, Judy?
No questions. Just very glad to see this upgrade, this needed upgrade.
Patrick?
So this upgrade is predominantly a one that makes it so we have bidirectional security, so it prevents the access cards from being simulated or cloned as part of the process. So it really substantially upgrades it. It doesn't replace every reader throughout the district because many of those readers are already capable of this new technology. It just needs new cards for everybody and then replacing the readers that were not compatible with this new process.
Yep. And in terms of timing, we asked, how long will this take to implement once purchased? Installation, it was just mentioned a couple days throughout the district, so it won't take very long. No questions, just commentary.
Thank you.
So, if they can take a few days, though, but they have new cards, how long does that take to get those out?
That will be a process.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we initially did the cards for all the staff, we went building to building to make sure everyone had their upgrades. So I'm assuming that we will use that same process.
We're all gonna give Diane a lot of love because she
Mhm.
oversees that process. Whole lot of love.
And coffee, right?
Yeah. Any questions?
I have no questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the recommendation for purchase of 2 Avigilon AVR servers. The Safety and Security Department seeks approval to purchase these video servers for visible weapon detection. The technology will enable both existing and new cameras to identify visible firearms and alert the Security Operations Center, enhancing overall safety. This equipment will be purchased through Safeware under a cooperative agreement at a total cost of $95,174.35. Funding sources include $51,414.35 from, again, Section 31AA grant funding and $43,760 using bond funds. It does involve installing and configuring the servers within our system, and the resolution was presented at FNO committee meeting held on Thursday the 5th as well.
Josh, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Saeed?
No questions, thank you.
Anupam?
Has this been tested within our buildings?
Yes, it has. We have partnered with Motorola, and they are using our district as a test for their product, and had a very successful test 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so working out the kinks before we actually roll it out with students, okay.
That's it.
No questions, thank you.
This was also tested with the Canton Police Department as
Yes.
part of the process that we went through. So it is a collaborative work. We are using we are a test site for Motorola. So right now we're not paying anything for the additional software that's part of this activity. This is necessary. This is the hardware necessary to provide the horsepower and the bandwidth to be able to do that additional recording. There may in the future be additional software costs for that, but that would be likely a year or two away that we might need to consider that.
I don't have questions, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. I was remiss in not stating that the bond proceed portion was previously approved at a January 24 board meeting as part of the T9 bid package. And the final agenda item from the Finance Department is the recommendation of 2 electronic building signs. We are recommending purchasing 2 Daktronics Galaxy outdoor electronic message centers based on sourcing pricing from Sourcewell Contracts. The cost of the 2 signs will be $44,336 with the cost of installation, masonry, and electrical work for both signs estimated an amount of not to exceed $24,000. We're also including a contingency amount of $10,000 because of the trade work involved. We discussed at the F&O committee meeting that 1 sign might be placed at east and 1 sign might be placed at west. Given further conversation, 1 sign will be placed at east, yet we understand the sign at west is fairly new and in excellent condition. We have another building that has a sign that is in need of repair, and if that repair is not able to be completed, then we would direct this second sign to that building as a replacement. And should we not need it at that building or at West, then we would assign it to that next up and coming school on the program agenda, as we know we are moving forward with replacing signs across the district for uniformity and branding. So with that, it was discussed at the September 5th Finance and Operations Committee meeting. We anticipate delivery of the signs in November. And then we will have that time to quote out the cost for the masonry and the installation. Okay. Josh?
Just one question. Is this type of sign like similar to ones we've used in the past recently?
Yes, thank you for that question. It is it aligns with the uniformity and standards of previous signs that we have purchased as part of the bond program that we plan to continue to purchase. Thank you.
I have no questions, thank you.
No questions. I see the warranty and software included in this, so thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I just wanted to thank you for explaining that the sign would not be going to west, because that was going to be my question.
Yeah. Thank you.
And thank you for the update. And these signs are all programmable through cellular network, so it doesn't require anybody to go out to the sign to do any of the programming. So we're excited about having these new capabilities.
Yep. Okay. Patty?
No, I'm excited to have the buildings be more uniform. I think it makes a lot of difference in like the curb appeal, and just the idea that they're all part of the same district. So thank you.
Thank
And I
you.
don't have any questions. We already discussed it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate everyone hanging on to our jam-packed agenda here. We are on to section E, citizens' comments, and I have a few here. As a reminder, each speaker has 3 minutes to speak to the board. First up is Peyton Schaefer.
So, Madam President, I suggest that maybe we explain the nature of citizens' comments and what we do.
Would you like to?
Yeah, so we have some new speakers here this evening. We just want to kind of provide some more context on how the citizens' comments work. This is a chance for you to provide feedback to the board in this process. Generally, the board does not respond directly in those things, but we definitely take this feedback in, and the board or the administration will follow up on any of the things that you bring forward tonight.
3 minutes per speaker.
Yeah, she already mentioned that.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Peyton Schaefer, and I'm in 5th grade at Workman Elementary. This past Friday, I was informed that all of the fun, extra things my music teacher and gym teacher were able to provide in the past would no longer happen. This means no field day, no choir, no holiday concerts, and no 5th grade graduation song. I would like to share a few reasons why I need these activities back in our school. I have been lucky to be a part of choir in 4th grade, the many years of concerts and the talent show, which would help me build up my confidence to be on stage. It also helped me with my self-confidence in being able to be up here speaking to you today. Field Day provides games and healthy competition amongst my classmates, which some kids don't get to do outside of school. I am begging to have Miss Mueller and Miss Moss back at our school full-time instead of forcing them to travel to other schools, which will give them the time back to plan these extra activities. My fellow P-CCS elementary students need to be enriched with these extras and are looking forward to experiencing a fun school year with them added back. So please help to make this happen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Up next, we have Grace Monty.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Grace Monty, and I have a very strong opinion on the Workman Elementary School music and gym teachers having to teach at more than one school. This really affects me because I'm a 5th grader and I love music and gym. This is my last year at elementary school, and I want it to be enjoyable. And on top of that, for my last year at elementary school, I don't get to do choir, field day, music performances, and my 5th grade graduation songs. This is all because the teachers don't have enough time to plan these fun things. I don't see how this is fair to the fellow students or teachers. The teachers would like to do all the fun stuff like field day and music performances because it brings the children joy. The day they told us no field day and no choir and no music performances, I was struck very emotionally. I was crying. I could not keep it together. I come to school looking forward to music. It motivates me to come to school. And I came not just to speak, but to make a difference. I want to change this, and I want to at least be able to come to school to have something fun to be looking forward to. For example, talent show. If we don't change this, there will be no fun talent show or field day. And this is not right. As a student, I have built up so much courage to come here and speak, and I don't want it to be for nothing. And how is that fair to a 5th grader like me? And this is why we need to change the fact that P-CCS music and gym teachers are having to teach at more than one school. Thank you for your time.
Okay, up next we have Natalie Sharp.
Hello, everybody. My name is Natalie Sharp. I'm a P-CCS, Plymouth Canton Community Schools alumni, former P-CCS employee, and current EduStaff employee where I'm a substitute at many schools in our district. So, childhood obesity, mental health crisis, the roads, tons of traffic, climate, it's getting out of control, and the fact that students are not taking initiative and responsibility. And then the chronic absenteeism. I'm here to talk about an issue that I believe could help solve all those things. Maybe not completely, but I definitely think it could play a part. What I think? Promoting more kids biking and walking to school. Now you might be wondering, why do I care about that and why am I qualified to talk about that? Well, as a substitute, I have substituted at every single P-CCS elementary school, every middle school, and all 3 high schools at PSEP, and I biked and walked to most of them. So I can tell you, it is possible. And along the way, I discovered the immense benefits of biking and walking to myself, and then I was shocked when I saw how many students that I saw getting dropped off that looked like they lived a half a mile away. And it made me think that a lot of these kids probably could walk or bike to school. And some of those older kids, they could even bike or walk to school by themselves and demonstrate the autonomy. And so I'm not here to take away the jobs of the bus drivers or P-CCS transportation or say that everybody needs to bike and walk. But the kids that live under a mile, under a half mile, maybe we could have ways that the district could promote ways that they could get to school more safely with biking and walking. And the best part is this wouldn't cost millions of dollars or involve hiring somebody you have to pay 6 figures or flipping the whole curriculum upside down. These are simple changes that we could make that would have a big impact. And then once more and more kids start biking and walking to school, we wouldn't have to do anything. It would just be a chain reaction, and then soon you would have a whole bunch of people that would be biking and walking to school, and I believe it would have a good impact on our education. So that's just what I want you guys to consider right now, and I'm going to be back at future board meetings to talk about actionable ideas of how I think we could implement this at Plymouth Canton Community Schools with our resources to make it more so more kids bike and walk to school. Thank you.
Okay, up next is Jennifer Voss.
I just wanted to comment on the change to the draw format. I had the opportunity to be a member of the Spirit Committee, and when Nick Brandon asked me to be a part of it, I was thrilled because I have a passion for this issue. I think that this is an important step in the right direction. I've seen many comments online from people saying that they don't care about this issue and that it doesn't matter, but it really does matter, and it's crucial, and here's why. Our district is missing a sense of community and school spirit, and community and spirit attract funding. Funding ensures our kids have decent facilities and that our employees are paid well enough to stay committed to our district. How does community spirit translate into money? It helps retain students. Over the past decade, we've lost nearly 2,000 students to neighboring districts, resulting in a loss of over $19 million. Why are we losing students? Because we lack the programs and spirit that top students and athletes seek. If our athletic programs, bands, arts, and extracurricular activities were at a state champion caliber like nearby districts, more students would stay. We need to support not just football, but all sports, band, culinary arts, and more. These activities bring a strong community. Consider Livonia, a district with 3 high schools. Students know from birth which high school they'll attend, and this fosters a deep sense of community. This consistent school identity makes it easier to garner local support, secure sponsorships, and build strong fundraising networks. Students and families know exactly which events to attend and where to focus their support. Building that same sense of community and spirit from the beginning is crucial for revitalizing our high schools. The current business model of our district hasn't been successfully replicated elsewhere because it isn't effective. If we continue to put our heads in the sand and say we don't need the best athletics or band or chess club, we will continue to lose students and funding. Academics are the foundation of education. Extracurricular activities and a vibrant school culture create lasting impressions. They enhance the educational experience. foster teamwork, and generate vital resources through fundraising. A blend of strong academics and engaging activities creates a well-rounded environment that benefits students both inside and outside the classroom. If we take care of our schools, offer competitive wages, and focuses on what truly matters to our students and community, we can stop the outflow of students and improve our funding situation. I believe that many who supported the 2020 bond might reconsider their support if they knew the outcome. We need to reassess our priorities and invest in what truly builds a thriving, engaged community.
Okay, up next is Jasmine Lee.
Hi, good evening, board members and administration and also staff. My name is Jasmine Lee. I'm a parent at Workman Elementary for two very energetic boys, 2nd grade and also 5th grade. The purpose of my presence tonight is really to understand the issues that Dr. Merritt had addressed regarding the retention and the continuity of the extracurricular programs, such as I think the art and the gym classes. I think she had commented it earlier in her superintendent's notes, but I think for the sake of parent communication, transparency, and alignment, if there could be some follow-up to the parent level to understand what exactly is going on, right, with this particular extracurricular as it relates to our students, and to also understand, what is the strategic plan? I'd like to know. I think I heard that there is going to be a focus and there is value that is being looked at towards these programs, but what is the short-term plan and also the long-term plan? That's what I'd really like to understand. And then lastly, I'd like to, I keep hearing, and I'm kind of new to the district, our children had transitioned from a charter school because Plymouth Canton Schools offers a lot in a lot of ways. Maybe because of the funding, but also because my kids love the innovation classes, right, at Workman. There's something different about Plymouth Canton Schools, and I would like to see that going because I'm invested as a parent. I'm hearing that some of the teachers, such as the gym teacher and the music teacher, are not being offered full-time positions. I don't really understand that, right? It's now reached the student level, and kids are coming back and they have some anxiety about this. It's concerning. So I'd also like to understand as a parent, is this a retention issue? Is there a shortage issue? Is this have something to do with funding? I'd like some transparency with that because I would really like to see our teachers stay and grow with our kids, right? I think that's what we all want. We don't want teachers to leave the district, right? I think we really value them. Thank you very much.
Okay, up next is Rachel Stevens.
Hello, I am Rachel Stevens, also a parent of Workman Elementary. My 2 daughters are here, 2nd and 5th grade, and I'm also here to talk about the extracurricular scheduling at Workman Elementary. When I heard the news that was going on, it's been a rough start to be a 5th grade parent at Workman this year. First of all, and I reached out to Kurt, and he reached back to me an email on the phone, and we talked about the class sizes at Workman. We're down to 3 sections this year, and I know, Dr. Merritt, in the beginning you said you're down overall class sections, which can translate in numbers to overall lower students. However, it doesn't feel that way at the 5th grade level because we are stacked tight in those 3 5th grade sections. We have, in my daughter's class, 31, and I believe in the other 2 classes, it's the same. Going there even at parent night, it was a struggle to get to talk to the teacher because she had so many people, and it was open house setting, so parents were coming in and out. And how does that transition to the classroom? I know students feel the same way. It was interesting listening to the Tonda Elementary person talking about how they want to keep that focus group of the students small so they can deep dive and take time to listen to those students. I know I'm preaching to the choir, class size is huge. When you have 31 students in class in a 5th grade, that's very concerning as a parent. Then the news comes later on about Miss Moss and Miss Mueller not being full-time at Workman Elementary. That was another very hard hit to the parents, just talking to each other, trying to understand what's going on. Quite a few of us reached out to the teachers and to Miss Johnson, who provided us information that this was a district level decision because of the lower number of sections. They saw time at a district schedule and other elementary specials teachers do shift, and I know I'm on time. We understand that. However, that's on paper, it might look a certain way. I'm asking you, Dr. Merritt, to go back to talk to the people that are scheduling, to talk to the teachers. This is a very, very valuable, Workman's a huge school. It's really should be run as more of a middle school instead of an elementary school because of sheer number of kids. We need those full-time staff members. Please consider hiring a part-time music and a part-time PE teacher for the district level. So I know other schools are considering, also have said they're not doing music concerts. Thank you.
Okay, we have Brooklyn Stevens.
Hello everyone, my name is Brooklyn Stevens and I am here today to talk about all the fun extra special stuff like choir and field day and all the special extra stuff. I would just like to say that I feel like we need the teachers to stay full time and not smush and go everything, make the other teachers do work at another school and make so they have time to plan all these stuff, all these extra fun stuff, so the children will have at least fun I was actually really looking forward to all this stuff this year, and now I can't do that stuff because all the teachers can't plan it because they're not working at one school, they're working at different schools and they don't have time to plan all this stuff and have time. So I would just like for them to also hire a part-time teacher for them and so they have time to plan all these extra stuff and then the children will they can do all these stuff and they can actually do the stuff, and yeah, that was all I'd like to say.
Okay, we have Kamal Haddad. I think so too. All right, thank you. All right, that concludes our citizens' comments. Thank you to everyone who spoke tonight. Yeah.
Are they children?
Are they students' comments?
Students? Yeah.
No.
Want to hear from the community or no?
We have rules in place, and I did mention at the beginning of the meeting that comments need to be in the basket before the start of the meeting, so unfortunately I cannot take these. I appreciate your time.
Sat here all night long waiting, and they've been patient and quiet and polite to everybody. You should hear them out.
Yep.
We're here at 9 o'clock at night. My child still hasn't had dinner tonight. Can you not give them 3 minutes? That's ridiculous.
They weren't in the
Aren't
Public
they the
comment should be
people
at the
that you
beginning.
are working for? They are who you're working for.
Not funny.
Citizen comment should be in the beginning of the meeting.
Bingo.
Students shouldn't be waiting 3 hours for citizen comments.
Okay.
We can discuss this later. Adults can stay late, students can't.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. We have rules in place just for this reason, so thank you all very much. I appreciate your time. We're going to move on.
Can't wait to share that with the community.
Yep, you're 10. It's okay. We ran to a soccer practice to get here. We didn't make it in.
I'm sorry, I don't see, are these both students? I thought these were adults.
Yes,
Does it matter?
Arhan is a student. I put my name on as his mother because I didn't.
Okay. All right.
So
In that
Arhan
case,
is a
I would
student.
love to hear from a student. I would.
But not a parent.
Ari, go ahead.
I realize it's 9 o'clock and students are here to speak, so I will honor that. I'm sorry, what is your name?
Arhan.
Okay,
or Ari.
Arhan, thank you for coming.
Imagine if you had kids that went to Workman and what is happening now happened to your kids. I don't know. I don't think it's fair that my special teachers have to teach at another school too, just because they are missing 3 classes to be full time. I think my teachers and Principal Johnson, when I get off, I see my teachers and Principal Johnson when I get off of the bus or out of my parents' car in the morning and when I leave at the end of the day. There are definitely full-time teachers. I go to the largest elementary school in the district. We might not be divided into 30 classes, but if you divide a little bit over 700 by 30, you would get 23 to 25 kids in a class. Don't you think that's enough kids to teach in a week? My school doesn't have 30 classes because our classes have more than 25 kids. Isn't that enough kids to teach? Why don't you think that's full time? My teachers have to teach and at another school too. It does not give them time to plan extra activities that they don't get paid for. I do not want to lose the chance to be in the art show or the talent show or choir. I also do not want to miss seeing Miss Moss or Miss Mueller at the start or end of the day. They make me feel safe. Please do not make them go to another school. They are full-time workers. They teach over 700 kids in a week. The kids and teachers at Workman deserve better.
Okay, we do have, thank you. Okay, we have one more, Melinda Monty.
I'm a parent, so I don't know if you want to listen.
You can, yeah.
And I actually, thank you for taking the time. I actually wasn't planning on speaking, which is why I turned my form in late. My daughter is one of the children who
great.
spoke, and I think they did a wonderful job. I didn't think I would need to speak, but I did just want to clarify one point, because listening to Dr. Merritt's comments at the beginning of the meeting, I can't speak for all the parents and what their understanding is, but I don't have a misunderstanding about what's going on. I realize that the teachers have not been told they can't have choir, they can't have these things, but they have had to make that decision because they're being spread too thin. I mean, they teach over 700 kids in a week. And I mean, Workman is the largest elementary school in the district. It's bigger than 2 of the 5 middle schools, which they all have a dedicated PE and music teacher, full-time. And those kids don't even all have music and PE, because they get to choose, right? So anyway, I just wanted to clarify for the parents that it's not a misunderstanding, and we understand that the district has not said that these activities can't happen, but the teachers have personal lives too, and they already go above and beyond for these students. I mean, they put so much extra time in the evenings with concerts, in the afternoons, doing auditions for the choir, you know, all the planning that they do at home. So having, you know, just stretching them thinner, they just don't have the time. So anyway, thank you for listening. I just wanted to clear up that it wasn't a misunderstanding. So, thank you.
Thank you all who came out to speak today. I just want to say, you know, it was really great to see all the students here speaking on behalf of all of their concerns. So thank you for taking time out of your evenings.
I do want to add, and we don't give the back and forth, of course, to citizens' comments, but since I did have the comment at my SUPS report, I just want to clarify. I appreciate that in terms of a misunderstanding, but clearly we do need to work with one particular school. I just want to say in general, nothing has changed. 30 sections equals a full-time teacher. So we'd run between 27 to 30 in terms of sections. When we talk about Workman in particular, that has been the only school throughout our history that has had that special teachers that's there, because last year, for example, they had 30 sections at Workman. Now we have 27. So every other district is a shared responsibility. It doesn't change. And so for that, when you talk about the time that's utilized, we've actually baked that into our schedule. There's really some work around our teachers that allows, for example, our specials teachers to have conference times. They don't do conference times, if you notice from your special teachers, after school, where our other teachers do. That's allowing for times for them for planning. So within that schedule, there's additional time that's baked in throughout the day. That's been our district standard throughout. So again, I think that the difference that I'm hearing experienced at Workman, now that we're down to 27, the teachers are picking up 3 sections, so that's 1/2 a day at another school. But that's their home school is Workman. They will cover all of the classes. And again, the majority of all of our other buildings actually have shared throughout our known time. And that's the way that we're able to ensure that we have this commitment to our schools, this curriculum, that it's implemented. So again, we will work with Principal Johnson. We will work with those 2 teachers to ensure, and as I hear what you're saying, definitely as a district, not only are we not saying that we are not changing these extracurricular activities, it's our expectation based on that schedule and the support that we've put in place that these activities will continue for our students. So we definitely will touch base with that school, make sure that that is clarified, and work if there is any additional support or clarification that is needed. I appreciate you young people and your voice. It matters. That's why we have a commitment to ensure that you continue to have these robust experiences that you've had throughout your elementary school years. So thank you everybody for your time this evening.
Thank you for that clarification. Okay, we are moving on to Section F, Action Items and Discussion. We have action item number 2509-09, consider approval of a resolution to adopt the Canton High School Cobra mascot logo design. This is a final reading. Can I have a motion, please?
Madam President, can we consider approval of a resolution to adopt the Canton High School Cobra mascot logo design? This will be a final reading, and the action item is 250909.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
Sounds like a tie. You're going to arm wrestle over there? Okay, so it was moved by Treasurer Kehoe and seconded by Secretary Westra. We did discuss this at last meeting, but do we have any other questions or comments around the logo?
I did have a question. We had asked to have this be shared at the Canton High School after school had started, and to ask for any additional feedback to come to us. I know we did receive one email, but I didn't receive anything else. I'm curious whether we had any feedback from the students from the schools. So
We have Principal Reed Norwalk can come and give an update on that process.
thank you.
All right, yes, thank you so much, and everybody for your support in this time right now. So what we were able to do in the last 2 weeks since the previous board meeting was get in front of every single student. We had our class meetings. So we made sure to share the logo and the design and the story behind the design, especially the student inspiration drawings, with every single student in the school in our presentations. Also met with individual groups, student congress, student leadership, our section leaders who are also part of our athletic program, as well as some of the art students regarding the work that they did. And then we took the comments and the conversations we had and have a summary of those comments. You know, it's quite a lot of comments, pieces to it, to kind of have a summary of what some of those comments were. It's like one was being more strict about it. Students are ready to move on. Was actually kind of a common thing. It's time to move on. We know the harm of our previous mascot. We need to speed up the process. Another one said it looks a little cartoony. Some other feedback was it's strong. Some are saying they want to bring it to the games and have it as a flag that they can use during events. There's still a lot of the previous logo around, and students are aware of continuing to remove previous. There's a lot of in classrooms and things, so we want to look for that. There was a positive about the balancing of the fierce and scary, intimidating look. They like the look of the snake with the text combo, the Cobra and the Canton Cobras. Plenty of comments of like it. Students were wondering what it looks like in shirts and jerseys, so in part of the presentation we did have some jersey examples to show them what that would look like. Comments about liking the integrated look, again with the block C in the language. One of the ones that kept coming up is when the student inspirations had the block C with teeth on it. And they thought it was kind of cool to have a minimalist design, so they said, could we put the Cobra teeth on the block C and kind of have something that was sort of, you know, subtle. They were talking about the use of the colors and appreciated having the red and white, noticing the black, and we're asking if that's like a new piece to the color. So it is red and white, but in the printing, you need some black to show the contrast, so you can have those features stand out. They're again looking for perhaps something with an I and the C. So a lot of feedback about integrating with the C itself. The block C now is the logo that we have. So like it, looks cool. Excited for the student artists to meet with with Zane Birchler and the vendor teams. As we talked about, one of the parts that we also talked about is the committees that would form and students helping us as we move forward in the implementation of it between marketing. Also talked with the marketing students between marketing, between athletics, between and then the arts and the banners and signs around the school, what they would do. And then a big question was about how the logo is actually getting onto uniforms and gear. As we've now already gotten into a lot of our ordering season, we've tried to pause on the winter and spring ordering as long as we could, so they would have access, as teams wanted it, to the logo as well as the Canton Cobra script, which, as you'll see on a lot of our gear right now, it is either Canton, the Block C, or it says Cobra for the fall sports, and asking to be able to implement it into the winter and spring seasons. So a summary of what we had, but yes, we're able to share it with all the students in at least being able to see it and looking for the feedback that we had and looking to, I would say one of the things that they're looking for is on both sides. One of my conversations with the students was, of course, there's a lot of opinions. It's a very important moment. Changing a name can change an identity. But the real emphasis we had, and the students appreciated this, was leadership, strength, and community is central to Canton and will always be. And that was one of the reasons why when we gave this logo to the designer and we had the student inspiration, the values and the student voice needed to be captured in that logo. And I had students emphasize that they saw that. There could be a lot of different variations, but they saw that in what we had and felt comfortable, I would say in general, from where we were, and we're asking to move forward.
I did have a question.
Sure.
You do.
I was at a neighborhood party this weekend, and a lot of people asked when they can get the new spirit wear.
Okay.
Because they're eager for it.
Thank you. So we're blessed at Canton to have an incredible print shop. We have some new print to fabric computer system. It's incredible. So looking how we can utilize some of that, and then we also have some great partnerships with some of our vendors through athletics, and we also wanted to run the logo by them and make sure that it would work, and they felt very comfortable with it. And we have a meeting set up tomorrow to say what some like release celebrations could look like, and we have some other ideas, like again, one of the logo shirts that we're going to have maybe 10 or 20 printed off, and as we go into our pep assembly, throw them up into the stands so kids can start having some of that gear. So things like the surprise release, and then also release parties, but also having an electronic store up and just a Cobra's dedicated store ASAP, and then a full release for a larger electronic ordering store as well as our marketing store, and again, growing kind of the process of our print shop. So we're in the same place. They've asked me, and I said, well, we got to get through tonight, and then once we have that, talk about it, but green light it as quickly as we can and get our official gear out there, because that's another thing. Really, the emphasis of no other school in the country has this logo, and if Canton's anything, it's unique, and that logo just says unique, says a unique, special place. And so, yes, they're really looking to get that gear on and have people say, what's that?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for
I'd
that.
like to
Okay,
say
go
something.
ahead.
The artist, I think, did a very nice job in his technique and stuff, but I am very disappointed in it, in itself of what it is. I think that as a community, at the stake we're in with the funding for that, and we hear students talking about teachers and having teachers in the classrooms, and the amount of money that we didn't get, that's going to have to go towards this now. I think that is just a disgrace. And I think that when they say it's harm, I think there were so many Native Americans that came up here, that even a whole group that said it wasn't harmful. And I look at the Cobra, as one Native American student came, or I don't know if he was a student alumni, he came up and said how being a chief was honorable. And chief is a leader, a Cobra's not a leader. I just am just really disappointed. And I think that, I've been around a lot of people, and they are not happy about it. So, it depends who you talk to, I guess. And we didn't really listen to our community anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter. So Yeah, I think it's disappointing. I think right now in a time of our funds, we need to be putting money into our teachers. That's what our goal is here. You know, now we're going to have to rebrand everything, and the cost, I think, is going to be more than what we really think, especially to parents. So I just wanted to share that. And
Thank you, Member Picard. And I also wanted to emphasize, I'm so excited for Friday, where we go to receive the $150,000 from the Native American Heritage Foundation to help us assist in this. Very powerful moment, very honorable moment. I've shared a letter specifically with you, Dr. Merritt, about a student who expressed how much this means to her. And as non-Native American, but as somebody who's really excited for the potential to move together as a community, knowing we're not necessarily all in the same place, but we aren't always in the same place. That is not what community is. It's to agree, to disagree, and sometimes to find out through the conversation how we can do better. And a lot of excitement around this, and I really appreciate your support and the dynamic plan and everything that's helped us with this. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. I'm going to call for a vote. Those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Those opposed, say no.
once a chief, always a chief, no.
Okay, so motion carries 5-1. Okay, we are on to 2024-2025 goals discussion. Dr. Merritt, do you want to walk us through this part?
Okay, so we had our special meeting in which the board and I went through ideas around superintendent goals as well as board goals. So we're first looking at the draft that we agreed upon as being my continued goals for the 24-25 school year. Looking at superintendent goal number 1, to continue to work on improving student growth and achievement by grade level as of expected growth as measured by NWEA and multiple measures. When we look at strategic goal number 2, this is still continuing to work on increasing family and student engagement, community partnerships, student enrollment as measured by an analysis of our market share. And finally, goal number 3, develop and continuously improve consistently implemented processes and procedures to ensure student safety and well-being. And so we talked through those strategic objectives and the focus that you would like to see me continue to lead the district in this school year. So this would be a result of that discussion.
Yeah, and I would just like to point out too, one difference that we may see from, I mean, obviously these are built on from our last year's effort, but we did go through a recent training on the superintendent evaluation tool. So you may notice while looking at these goals, they're tied to the components of that evaluation tool. So that is a new item. I know you had asked the rest of the board members to take a look at this, make sure everything looked like what we discussed. Does everything look okay to everybody else?
Yeah, and I mentioned that these goals are the explicit goals that we've added as a district jointly as a team of 8 in this process. There are still substantial other components that are measured as part of that broader superintendent evaluation tool that's approved by the state. So I don't want anybody to think that these are the only goals that we have. But there's a whole set of other things that are there, but these are the specific ones that are added to that superintendent evaluation process.
Great, thank you for that clarification. That is a very good point. Okay.
So with no further edits, we will bring this back to the September 24th meeting for consideration of approval.
Great. Okay, on to the Board of Education goals. Similarly, on the same day we met and we drafted these goals together as a team of 8. I'm actually going to ask my fellow board members. I'll start with Member Picard. Can you read the first board goal?
The objective, you mean the first
Yep, objective number 1. Yep.
Strengthen connection and communication between Board of Education, P-CCS, community, and broad groups of community stakeholders through layered approach.
Okay.
Do you want to read all of it?
No, that's okay. Member McCoy, will you read the next one, please?
BOE objective 2, improve decision making through data and analytics, goals A, B, and E.
Okay, and Treasurer Kehoe, can you read?
And objective 3 is about improving the Board of Education efficiency and processes, and it's aligned to goals A, B, D, and E.
Great, thank you. Okay, so in our review of this, did we find anything that needed to be wordsmithed or edited or changed?
I'd just like to capitalize dynamic plan.
Yeah.
Capitalize dynamic plan, and then make sure that the B in objective number 1 is underlined.
Good catch. Okay. All right, anything else? Yep. All right.
I had a question. So are we gonna go over like different, were we supposed to go over different things like that we thought applied to each of them tonight, or just look at the goals in
No,
general?
just
Okay.
make sure that everything looks like, you know, we had discussed, if we were
Okay.
missing any language or verbiage.
Okay.
In terms of how we execute those goals, that's our work
Okay,
for this,
gotcha.
the remainder of this year.
Okay.
Mhm. Okay.
So again, we will bring these back to the 24th and ask for you to consider approval.
Great, thank you. Okay, on to first reading policy, rescind. So this is policy 2410, rescind the prohibition of referral or assistance. Dr. Merritt, or actually VP McCoyne, can you talk through this?
This policy was put in as a new policy in 2019 to be compliant with state law. The state law has since been repealed, and so we are removing the policy because the state law that backs it up is gone.
Okay, thank you for that background. Any other questions or comments on this?
Yeah, I do. I have a comment. Even though the state law has been repealed, that doesn't mean we have to get rid of the policy. We could still have a policy because it does give parents then the knowledge that their student will not be referred to an abortion clinic or assisted to abortion clinic without their knowledge of that. You know, when you have kids that are minors and stuff, there is a school district that has kept it. Caledonia School Board has deciding to keep that policy. And one thing that I thought was really good that one of the staff said was that staff often don't know much, if anything, about a student's religious conviction or the various faiths represented here in our district. So this makes us highly unqualified to speak into their situation about unplanned pregnancy. I think that is a parent's thing, and when you look at what the law says about the rights of parents and that they have the right for the care of the child, it's actually a conflict. Our laws conflict each other. But you know, just the whole parent, is that me doing that? Oh, my thing is, sorry. It's kind of doing it all night. But the whole thing is that just that the parents have the rights of the parent is the parental, it is the natural fundamental right of the parents and legal guardians to determine and direct the care, okay, then teaching and education of their children. The public schools of the state serve the needs of the pupils by cooperating with the pupils' parents and legal guardians to develop the pupils' intellectual capabilities, vocational skills, and a safe and positive environment. So I think the parent has the overseeing of what's the safe and positive environment. For have some staff member decide what they think is right, overriding what the parent thinks, is really not, that's taken away the rights of the parents because they're in the care. They have the responsibility. And I know the state, I was looking at the law, says something about whoever assists somebody is not going to be held accountable if there's some kind of, if the student dies or has some kind of complication. But I do believe that they can still sue and that person would be liable because they have no idea of what they're doing. Sometimes the child doesn't even know all the complications that are involved and have no way of understanding some of the medical situations that they could be in or that they already have that could complicate it, that the staff member may not even know. And so I just think that policy is a nice protection for parents to have some trust into our schools, that their child that they will know, and they have a right to know. That's just the way I feel about it. So I think that's what our law says, and it conflicts, and I don't know if parents are even aware of that. So that's just I would like to just say I'd like to keep that policy.
Well, this policy, though, is completely built around a law that is now repealed.
But you can still have the policy.
Well, not this policy.
Well, or maybe a new one then. If it has to go around.
So the discussion is about having this policy rescinded.
So
that is the action that we're being asked to take, to remove this policy because the law that underpins the policy has been repealed.
So when you take that out, do you then will make another one, or like,
No, this
how do we get
policy
another
was a
policy?
new policy because state law in 2017 required specific wording in
Mhm.
this policy.
So we could basically, you know how when we have policies, we cross off certain things. Couldn't we just cross off that, the law
The
part of
whole
it,
thing
but keep
says-
the thing?
It's all about what is in the MCL.
Okay, well, I'm just saying a school district has kept it, so it is possible to have a
Well,
policy that protects the.
Caledonia.
Yeah, got the article right here. So, I'm just saying,
So-
that is possible to have some kind of policy that does
With
protect.
any policy, I
But the
would,
discussion
yeah.
tonight is around rescinding this policy.
Right, and
That's not the discussion.
yes, it is. My discussion is that when we rescind that, then we no longer have anything.
So I would just share in terms of a procedure, you are correct that this is about this particular policy. At any time with any situation, if you have two board members that would like to bring a topic forward, then that could be something that could go to the policy committee, and you could go through that process of
Bringing a policy.
policies,
Okay.
yeah.
All right,
So
thank you.
Separate from that.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the rest of the team? No? Okay.
So this evening was just a first read, this would come back.
That's just, yeah, just I just wanted to
Okay.
say something now. Then
Great, thank you. All right, so that concludes our meeting. We are going to adjourn at 9:27 PM. Thank you, everybody.